After the Minnesota Vikings 28-25 nail-biter of a win in London over the New Orleans Saints, we put together our list of 3 ups and 3 downs from this game. We'll get into those right after this. The Minnesota Vikings moved to 3-1 after a 3-point victory over the New Orleans Saints in London in a game that was much closer than I wanted it to be, much more exciting than it should have been, and much more rage-inducing than it needed to be. But at the end of the day, this team is 3-1, getting it done, going into a game against Chicago next week at US Bank Stadium, then to Miami, and then the bye week. So this game was a big one to win. But there's a lot of things to like, a lot of things that need improvement, and they're definitely going to be reflected in our ups and downs today.
Yes, definitely. Let's jump in there. But before we do that, I want to thank everybody for watching the GG Sports podcast of the Minnesota Vikings, where we endure heartbreak, and obviously purple. Hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, get notifications from our videos, and let's jump into the ups and downs from this game here, starting with
first ups, the special teams unit, the kickers. Of course, Greg Joseph and Ryan Wright. So Greg Joseph, 5 of 5 on field goals, long of 47 yards, the game-winning field goal there, and the one game winner, of course. He did have the extra point miss, but it ended up, being kind of an is what it is situation. Part of me thinks he missed that on purpose, though, because if he hits it, we're up by 4, which means the Saints have to score a touchdown. They get more aggressive. They score the touchdown. We're down by 3 points, and then who knows what happens after that. But Joseph knew if he keeps it a 3-point game, the Saints would go just to tie it, and he would have a chance to become the hero anyway, which he ended up being. Greg Joseph, the guy's money. I know he had the 2 misses last week, but those are both from his career long. So I'm happy with Greg Joseph. I think he's probably one of the more consistent kickers we've had here in a while. So it's good to see.
Yeah. That one extra point, that did suck, and that did hurt, and it gave the Saints a chance to try to tie it up or whatever, and they actually did. Whatever. He ended up with it doesn't matter. He ended up a chance to get the game-winning field goal, and he hit it, and he hit 4 other field goals, and you have to just say that is far more important than that one missed extra point. And he was on the money with that. Hopefully going forward, he can take a step back from missing some of those field goals. But Ryan Wright, man, I mean, that guy just comes in, and what a surprise. He might be. No, I think I've said recently, Munt might be one of the most surprising pickups of the year or whatever, just because up until this game, he surprisingly was getting a lot of receptions and was open quite a bit for Kirk. But actually, Ryan Wright is by far the biggest surprise, and not by far the biggest addition, but definitely the most surprisingly good addition to this team. Man, he's just on fire with all his punts. And 3 punts, 126 yards inside the 20, passing first downs 1. That fourth down ex-quarterback and Ryan Wright, who went to the same college with Sean Mannion, and I heard, or same high school or something like that.
It was.
He probably was the starter over Sean Mannion. I wouldn't be surprised. But man, that was a big momentum move. We didn't take advantage of it. We'll probably get into that a little bit later.
We had the field goal. It's kind of taking advantage of it.
Yeah. We kind of did. Yeah, we did get the field goal. So that was all special teams in general there. But yeah, what's your thoughts on Ryan Wright so far?
I love him. I was a little bit concerned when we moved on from the veteran Jordan Berry to go with an undrafted rookie, but we're seeing why. The leg is huge. The passing first down was amazing, and that just opens that up for more opportunities for that down the road. So, and just his booming punts, hang time's good. 2 inside the 20 off 3 punts is solid. So yeah, love me some Ryan Wright. So the kickers, they just need to keep it up. Matt Daniels, I said, I put a tweet out during the game. Matt Daniels might be one of the best additions coaching wise to this team this offseason. The special teams unit's different this year.
In this game in general, just the special teams in general, we had a nice punt return from Jalen Reagor. We had a nice kick return from Keenan, however you want to say his name. And then we had that fumble, the punt fumble or whatever. And I mean, those are huge plays. And then, I mean, we've already had a blocked field goal this year. It's just the special teams has came on this season in this game specifically, and because of them, it might be the reason why we ended up winning this game.
For
So
sure.
big kudos to Matt McDaniels, right? Matt McDaniels, and huge kudos to Ryan Wright and Greg Joseph.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, let's get into our first downs here, and that will be the run defense. Allowed 111 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. None of this was to Alvin Kamara. It was all Mark Ingram, as well as former
Latavius Murray.
Viking Tay-Train Latavius Murray. Yeah, it's the rush defense. I mean, the defense as a whole is concerning, but the rush defense this game was not good. I felt like at the end, they held up as long as they could, but I felt like at the end they just got tired and just allowed Murray to run all over him. It's unfortunate. Hopefully that's kind of something we were hoping would be better this year, and it hasn't been all bad, but it's been, for the most part, it's been pretty disappointing, especially with the guys we have in the middle with Delvin Tomlinson and Harrison Phillips. So something I do want to see improve. But it wasn't good this week.
Yeah, so far the run game defense has not been good at all. I mean, even week 1 against Dylan and Aaron Jones, they had stretches where they were running all over us. Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts against the Eagles. Jamal Williams mostly last week, and now Latavius this week. It's just they're just getting like 5 yards every single time they touch the ball and getting touchdowns and stuff like that. So that's just something that we have to shore up. But that was also my biggest concern coming into this season, and I still do believe that is our biggest concern on defense, because with them being able to consistently run it off, of course, opens up the passing game for them, which we are also not doing fantastic on all the time. But
right, I mean, yeah, run defenses need to get better. It starts there.
yeah.
But speaking of receivers, passing game, Justin Jefferson. Finally, big bounce back game for Justin Jefferson. 10 catches, 147 yards, and then he had the 1 rushing touchdown. He had the clutch catch at the end. Nice, beautiful ball by Kirk Cousins.
Right.
We could have put him in the ups, but sorry, there's some other guys that we wanted to highlight here. We could talk about Kirk Cousins all day long, and it does.
Kirk Cousins will get his game.
Exactly.
I want to see a offensive explosion from him. That's what he'll get.
But I mean, we'll bring him up with this. He was, up and down, of course, but that bomb to Justin Jefferson on that drive was absolutely perfect. Yeah, we knew Justin Jefferson would figure it out, and Kevin O'Connell would figure out too how to use him better. Moving him around, getting him the ball early is big. Spreading the ball to the other receivers to open him up more. Marshawn, and I think part of it too is the Saints trusted a one-on-one matchup between him and Marshawn Lattimore. We saw that a lot, and Marshawn got his as well. But Justin Jefferson, at the end of the day, that catch he had on Marshawn Lattimore was fantastic. So Justin Jefferson is proving that he's still the best receiver in the NFL right now.
There's no question. Justin Jefferson is a monster, and it was nice to see him have this bounce back game after those couple duds here, and hopefully he can keep that, or keep it rolling, because when he's playing like this and he's getting that type of receptions and targets and yards and touchdowns, everything, I think it's going to be hard for teams to beat us. So
for sure. Yep. Moving on to our next down, the Minnesota Vikings offensive line. This game allowed 3 sacks. They're just not in the run game. They just didn't open up enough holes for Delvin and Madison. Again, and you wonder with Delvin, is he running as hard as he could with that shoulder? I don't know for sure. That could be something, but yeah, I don't know. Just too much pressure on Kirk. He didn't have many clean pockets, he had some, but I mean, he had the one where he had all day to throw, which was nice. Right. But there was just too many times when in key situations when it just broke down on him. I know Brian O'Neill had a pretty rough game, allowing a sack as well as a penalty or two. Ed Ingram, there was one play where he let the guy blow right by him. You could see it after he had the whole head tilted back out of disgust with himself. Christian Darrisaw played solid though, but yeah, I don't know. The offensive line, and give them credit, they have actually been pretty solid this year. Garrett Bradbury has been playing pretty well, but I think against a stout defense in the Saints, they faltered a little bit in this game.
Yeah, it wasn't their best showing. And besides the 3 sacks, I think they had, I remember seeing, I didn't get the exact number of how many pressures they ended up having, but I remember seeing 9 at one point. So they had at least 9 pressures on Kirk besides those 3 sacks. Hopefully we can just keep shoring that up. I mean, obviously the Saints do have a really good defensive lineman in Davenport and Cameron Jordan. But yeah, I mean, it was a decent we were against a pretty good defense there. So it was a game we should have won because of their offensive players being hurt, but it wasn't like we weren't against a pretty solid defense that has pieces as well. So
for sure.
But hopefully they just keep getting better, man.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. Our final up, cornerbacks. Cam Dantzler and Patrick Peterson both played very well in this game. Patrick Peterson looked like the Patrick Peterson of old at times.
Yes, that
Passes
one.
defense between the two of them, 5, and then they had 8 total tackles as well. This is something we really need to see from these guys, and I think part of the thing is it was impressive to see this happen because pass rush, they got there a couple times at Dalton, but just overall Dalton just had too much time. So still for them to be able to do this against, obviously no Michael Thomas, no Kamara, but being able to do this against Olave, who did have a few yards and a touchdown, and Landry, being able to do what they did most of the time was pretty impressive.
Callaway.
And like we were looking for that game where they both ended up playing well. Because remember, one of them was up, one of them was down. They kind of went back and forth. I thought they both played very well in this game, and I was happy to see it.
Yeah, Patrick Peterson, the little ankle tackle that he had on, was it Latavius or I think it was Latavius.
I think it was.
That was really nice. And then that one pass defense he had towards the end of the game when it was like a deep ball, that was beautiful too. So it's really nice to see that, especially since we're not getting the quarterback as much as we would like, which I do think comes from a lack of blitzing schemes. But yeah.
But overall, nice to see these two guys both play well on the same day against a team on the road. So it was nice to see. And then our final down, Minnesota Vikings red zone offense. We were 2 of 5. The 2 touchdowns are. The other 3 we did convert. They were field goals, but I don't know that it was. And that was the most frustrating part of the day. Is we'd have a big, either a big play by the defense, a good stop, a big turnover. Or a turnover on special teams, get good field position, get into the red zone, and then penalties, iffy play calls, plays just not being executed properly, putting you behind the sticks, and then you're looking at a 3rd and goal from the 15, 3rd and goal from the 20. It was just too much of it, just not being able to convert on those touchdowns. This game, which is why it was so frustrating, as I said at the beginning, this game should not have been as close as it was with the way that we. On offense, I thought we looked good. Like this was the first game where I felt like for the most part in between the 20s, the offense was consistent. But when they got down into the red zone, it just things just didn't work out. And it was frustrating to watch. I was frustrated with it. I don't know how you were feeling about it, but it was hard. It was hard to watch at times.
And it really comes down to like the momentum thing. Like it did feel like we had momentum most of that game. And when you get a big turnover, like so we had not just turnovers, but we had the 2 turnovers, the special teams punt return over, whatever. We had the fumble, Delvin Thomason's fumble. And then we also had that 4th down conversion that we already talked about with Ryan Wright. Those are huge momentum changing plays that really can change an entire game or the whole momentum of the game. Like that could be, if we score on those, it could have put a big stamp on the rest of the game on any of those. And we weren't able to get not score, but touchdowns. We weren't able to get touchdowns on any of them. And I think that's a big problem because, you want to ride that momentum and it kind of like, oh, momentum. All right, then stop. Cause we went 3 and out and then had to kick a field goal or whatever, but you just got to get better there. Keep coming up. I know KOC has some creative tricks in his bag. We've seen it last week with Adam Thielen in the red zone. And I just want to see some more of that stuff.
Right.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
It's cool. It works a lot when he pulls up some of those pretty creative plays. So
yeah, for sure. And that's, honorable mention up could be, at times, like I said in our review video, I'm not an offensive coordinator. I just go by what I see and what I think, as we all do. We're all opinionated. That's just the way the world works. But like an honorable mention up could have been Kevin O'Connell, because you just look. So first game, everything looked like it was working perfectly in Green Bay. Sure, Justin Jefferson was the only target. It is what it was. They're at home against Green Bay. Week 2, nothing seemed to work. You tried to force it to JJ, didn't work. Week 3 against the Lions, you started moving people around and incorporating other members of your offense. In this game, you incorporated other people in the offense, and you still moved Justin Jefferson around to get him into different looks. So it's just it's showing to me the involvement of a head coach, realizing like, hey, what I'm doing isn't working. So not being, too stuck on your laurels and actually working on changing things. And an offensive play caller to put things together that you seen work at different times or didn't work, and taking those out and just making your offense what you want it to be make it be more consistent and efficient. Because it was the first drive was efficient as hell. A lot of the stuff, as I said, from in between the 20s, super efficient. When they got down there, they lacked efficiency. So that's what I like to see from Kevin O'Connell. There's that evolvement of of his mindset of being a play caller and a head coach. Now, hopefully he brings it over to the defense, but we'll see.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. Every single game, there's kind of, other than the first game where everything just went pretty good for them offense for the most part, kind of. He's still trying to figure things out and feel our players. And, he has to figure all that out. And he's a first-time head coach. And it is maybe that was something that we should have tried a little bit harder to figure out in the preseason, which we didn't put any of our players out there. Maybe that would have been a good plan. But no, at the same time, we're 3-1. We had kind of an easy stretch, especially against the Packers. So it was a good time to figure that kind of stuff out, and hopefully moving forward, I think we're definitely on offense headed in the right direction. We're getting more players involved. We are definitely trying to get the rushing attack involved. I would like to see just not more of that, but more just better runs, I guess.
Yeah.
Like more success with our rushing, because
Right.
we get I feel like we get stopped quite a bit, and I don't just blame that on Delvin Cook. It seems like he gets blown up quite often as well. So
yeah, but I mean, hey, 3-1 is 3-1. There's still things to work on, but having to work on those things, it's better to have to knowing you have to work on things, but yet still being 3-1 going into a game against a division rival.
We're not even close to our ceiling. So that's
exactly. Yep. So there's tons of things to fix, but also tons of things that are working for this team. And then I said, big game against the Bears coming up next week, which we'll have content later on in this week for. Look out for our power rankings this week as well. We'll see you guys next time on the GG Sports Podcast.
Skol Vikings.